I'm going to be explaining exactly why you shouldn't be spending valuable time doing pointless exercises and drills to improve your mechanics and your running form. Now, before I get into this, I do want to preface that I do believe that your mechanics and running form are a very crucial aspect in getting faster, and I do believe that they are important, but I do not believe in the continuous repetitive drills that aren't even helping that much with your mechanics, and they're not focused on anything other than the mechanics, when really you can be focusing that time on things that are improving your actual speed, your force production, your leg speed, your speed endurance, your nervous system, your coordination, your tempo, and your body's ability to build up elastic momentum. And momentum can really only be effectively built up if you are effectively using your body correctly within the right form. So let me give you an example. For kids, if you are in middle school and you want to get faster, there is no way I would ever go to a middle schooler and be like, all right, this is how you get faster. You're going to want to focus on making sure your foot's landing under your hip. All right. And you're going to want to focus on making sure that your body is leaned at this exact angle in this exact part of the race. And you're going to want to have a low heel recovery, keeping a dorsiflexion, but then also plantar flex at the last second, and making sure that your knees are coming up super high when you get up into your top speed. I mean, all of this stuff may be true, but that doesn't mean that it's the most effective way to get someone faster. Now, for the majority of people, that's not their problem. Their problem is they have horrible force production, they have no fast twitch muscle fibers, and they can't hold that speed for anything. They have no speed endurance, and they also have no cardio. I wouldn't be telling him to do any of that stuff, because that's not stuff that is actually going to help him get faster, because that's not what the problem is. That kid doesn't have a form problem. That kid has an experience problem. He hasn't sprinted enough. He hasn't done enough short ground contact plyometrics. He hasn't done enough leaps and bounds. And when you do these things, they're going to help you with your form, because they're going to naturally build you into a more athletic person through these athletic movements. Because as he does these exercises, he's naturally going to learn what is most efficient. And that's really what form is all about. That's what your technique is all about, is what is the most efficient with expending the least amount of energy, and I can be the fastest and apply the most force within this. And the only way to really figure that out, especially at a younger age, or if you're not a very advanced athlete, or if you're a beginner athlete, the best way to do this is to just do a lot of movements that require you to apply a lot of force and to move fast and to be athletic, because those movements are going to be the thing that teaches you how to be efficient within those movements, not tiny little drills and technique tips. Okay, again, in the beginning of the workout, it's fine. It's great. You can do it in the very beginning as a warm-up, but again, it's a warm-up. It's not the workout. It's not what you're prioritizing. The priority is always in the movement itself, and in movements that are going to be correlating directly with that movement that you're trying to get better at. So for sprinting, you're going to want to be doing a lot of bounds, a lot of broad jumps, a lot of sports-specific power movements in the weight room, movements that are single leg, horizontal movements, because that's what sprinting is. Sprinting is single leg, horizontal force production within a short ground contact. So that's what we need to be training for, because when we get used to those type of movements that are single leg, short ground contact, and horizontal, then when we go and try and sprint, we're going to be used to that. Our body is going to be coordinated enough to know exactly how to most efficiently execute that exercise, because we've done it enough, because we've prioritized the right thing. Now let's take it one step further. Let's say you're an athlete. Let's say you have some strength. Just because you have strength doesn't mean it can transfer into sprinting. So yeah, you might be able to squat 400 pounds, but how helpful is a movement that's done on two legs, is extremely slow, you're applying vertical force, not horizontal force, and you're working within a very slow stretch shortening cycle, because your ground contact time is the entire movement. I don't see how any of those traits are going to help you actually sprint faster. So to get back to the point, if you are an average or even a slightly above average athlete, your time, effort, and energy, which is extremely important for speed development, should not be focused on tedious speed drills that are only there to help improve your form. Now, I'm not saying I'm not an advocate for skips and drills that you do as a warm-up. Actually, I would recommend doing that, but that's a warm-up and should not be your primary focus when you have many other factors that are actually the things that are holding you back from getting faster. But this is very important. Let me explain this. The reason why I believe that your time should be spent on increasing force production, leg speed, speed endurance, sport-specific power, tempo, nervous system, coordination, is because when you train those, you're going to be helping those factors that obviously are increasing your speed, but they also will help with your form. Take, for example, some of these elite sprinters that you're seeing right now. For example, Quincy Williams. This man does not run normally. That's just a fact. You can't argue that this man has the most optimal running form, but for some reason, he's faster than everyone else in the 400. Why is that? Because he's found his own energy efficient system that works for his body type, and that is not found through drills. And the proof is what you're looking at. I mean, he did not do drills and was not taught to run like that. A coach did not tell him you need to run like this with your arms moving like that. No one told him to do that. He prioritized the right type of training to learn what his body needs in order to be the most efficient and to learn what his body works the best with and what is the most efficient for his body within elastic buildup, within energy expenditure. There's a ton of aspects that go into running form, but there's even more aspects that go into a specific human body's bone structure and genetic makeup. Now, obviously, there definitely are rule of thumbs within the running mechanics that are just facts that everyone needs to abide by that play more into a role with gravity and momentum. But learning gravity and momentum, again, is not going to come from the drills. It's going to come from doing things that require you to go against gravity and build into momentum. So the actual specific exercises that are going to be sport specific to what you're trying to get better at. So if it's sprinting, it's going to be leaps and bounds and hops and short ground contact time, force production, things that are going against gravity and into momentum, and learning what your body reacts to the best. And a good way to do this is to actually measure your bounds, measure your broad jumps, and time your sprints or time your specific drills that you're doing that are focused on increasing usable, actual trackable force production that's going to be applied into what sprinting actually is, not, barbell squatting and, tracking that, because that doesn't matter. It's not going to be applicable into actually short ground contact horizontal sprints. So make sure you're tracking your triple broad jump, your single broad jump, your triple bound, which is a single leg movement. You can even do a broad jump into 2 single leg bounds, but you want to figure out these, track them, and these are so important, more so than any sort of drill that you can do, because there are literal calculators where you can put in your triple broad jump or your triple bound, and it'll be able to tell you what your 40 time is. Like, that's how important sport-specific movements are that are actually sport-specific. A lot of people say sport-specific, and then it's not. It needs to actually be sport-specific, and that is what's going to be extremely important for your development towards that goal of whatever that sport, but in this case, I'm talking about sprinting. So sprint-specific, and that's what's going to actually get you to faster times and make you a faster athlete. And a lot of this also does depend on the time of the race. I'm more so talking about top speed. If we're talking about a block start, then this applies less because the block start is extremely technical and requires a ton of technical analysis and breakdown and drills to help the nervous system be able to fire properly out of the blocks consistently and efficiently and effectively. So again, this is specifically for those that are not as advanced or even a little bit above advanced. That's really the stuff that you need to be focusing on, not all these sprint gurus telling you that the reason you're not sprinting faster is because your foot's not landing under your hip at top speed. Okay, like I can see all that, everyone talking about the foot landing from the hip for the block starts and in the beginning of the race. But at top speed, it's just not something you need to be thinking about. And if it is, then you haven't done enough sport-specific power movements and sprint-specific movements to not have that be something that you need to be thinking about. But it's not a drill. It's not all right, stand on the wall and put your foot down under your hip 100 times a day. Like that won't even help it because that's not anything in action. You're not moving your body as fast as you can while having to do that. So it's just pointless. It's pointless drills that are a waste of time when you really should be focusing on things that are actually going to progress you forward and even progress your form and technique forward. Thank you for listening. That was a tangent, but also that was to help you, and especially if you needed that. I don't know, but go watch my other YouTube videos to get faster.